Fiber is basically what yarn starts out as. So imagine you have like an alpaca, you're gonna shear the wool, and then the wool is just this fluffy stuff that needs to be processed and dyed. It's so much more than just yarn. It's a binding together. It's like a knit together family. It's very poetic and spiritual. A strand of 3 cords is not easily broken. Nobody is like self-made, so maybe they are, but I'm not. So I do a lot on my own, but I need the people around me, and I rely heavily on them. I'm Emily Bennett. I am a fiber artist and the program coordinator at the Community School of the Arts on Indiana State University's campus. We do art, music, and theater programming for kids and adults. I am the dreamer, and my job is to facilitate and hire really awesome people to teach that content. It's on ISU's campus because we like to make sure that everyone at least has the experience of being on the campus and seeing that it's safe and it's a fun place to be. I've lived in Terre Haute my entire life. We are slowly climbing towards becoming more of an arts community, and I feel really excited to be contributing to that. A lot of people feel like they need to move out of their hometowns immediately when they graduate high school or college. If everyone leaves Terre Haute to find opportunities, who's going to stay and create those opportunities? So I want to be one of those people that stays here, makes Terre Haute a more desirable place, and I want my kids to have access to opportunities that might not have existed when I was a kid. My childhood home had a craft room in the basement. I remember spending a ton of time down there. I would always ask for art supplies for Christmas, always receive them. Any kind of hard experiences, I knew that I could go and be in a quiet space and make art. It solidified my identity at an early age. I had to use art to process my feelings, the tragic things that were happening in my home life. So when I was making sculptures that were able to envelop a person made out of steel, that was very indicative of trauma from my childhood. My dad, he was my protector in my life. He's always been very supportive. He's always there at the end of every festival that I do to help me tear down and put all my stuff in boxes. He's the heavy manual labor guy, excited to come to every art show opening, sad if he couldn't make it, always taking pictures, showing his work buddies, my daughter made this piece of art. In college, I thought that it would be really interesting to create art that has a hard interior, but a really soft and beautiful exterior. When I started creating these metal sculptures, I really related to this sort of rough nature of steel, but I think that I have sort of a cheery exterior that would sort of relate to my own personal journey of having sort of a really hard and difficult experience in life, but sort of turning it around to see the good. So for me, weaving is a lot like how a painter would paint, layer by layer, color by color. I choose my colors very specifically. It was important for me that each award was different, but woven on the exact same base for consistency. Each artist has a very different style of work, so each piece directly corresponds with the person that it is for. And this one is Christie's. I have met her in person. Instead of drawing from the mural on the building, I sort of just use that as a jumping off point to make this from her personality. I included a ton of color. There's a very unique sort of flow to hers. So Sean's award, a lot of pieces that were in the collection, they had a lot of soft pastel colors. There were some paintings of literal landscapes, but for me, I sort of make these dream landscapes. Maybe you can see mountains or paths or streams. So Dee's award was the first one that I made because I was instantly drawn to her. She makes colorful art. Yeah, I really like to play with texture, and this one has a ton of texture in it, so I wanted this piece to kind of be a little bit wild. For Brian's piece, there are these bunnies and these little creatures that are purples and blues, and I used those colors for the main weaving. For Jim, he's like an old school guy. I was thinking of a jukebox when I made his, so I kind of did an arch pattern within the arch itself. made the colors mimic his album art, I think that he will be able to relate to and understand that it was inspired by his music. To create these awards is sort of a game changer. I can now say, I've done this. I can use this experience to show other entities that I am capable of. And so going forward, I will just continue to apply for larger and larger projects. I don't feel limited by my age, where I live, my gender. I don't feel limited by my skill set. In reference to having a very specific point of view, I'm not sure if I really have one yet. My intent when I'm making art, it brings me joy, and I think that is contagious. And because I enjoyed developing it, because I enjoyed the process of becoming better at something, I think that is how I found some success. I want to live in a world that I design. Someone cool said that. And a rising tide lifts all ships. And so I feel like the more art that you can put into the world, the more you can shout from the rooftops that art making is a healer and having arts for all is so important. And that's my goal.